What's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction video, man. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute, man. Listen, man, I be loving these interesting facts videos. I don't know why, because I feel like one day I'm gonna end up somewhere I'm not supposed to be, and these videos are gonna help me in the long run, man. It's gonna help me remember something, be like, oh my gosh, maybe I survived a situation because I learned something here. I don't know, man. I'm just drawn to these videos, man. So salute y'all for suggesting them. This one here is the 10 mysterious archaeological discoveries, man. We're gonna check that one out. Plus, we're gonna check out 10 scary creatures no one believes existed. All right. So if you're new to the channel, man, hit the subscribe button, fam. You know what time it is. All right, let's get to it.
The Indiana Joneses around the world dream of finding a rare and valuable artifact during their travels. And the truth is that many people who aren't looking for something end up finding something incredibly rare on accident or by pure luck. However, there are other people who have been searching long and hard and recently discovered some incredible artifacts. From an ancient Ming Dynasty sword to a bizarre 400-million-year-old hammer. Check out these 10 recently discovered ancient artifacts. Chinese man finds old sword in ground, uses it as a kitchen knife. A 60-year-old Chinese farmer named Yi Shaosheng was digging on his land in Chengkou County in China province when he stumbled across an old sword blade that had no handle. Not thinking much of it at the time, he took it home and used it as a kitchen knife for 5 years, until one day he noticed some strange characters on the blade. He then took the blade to some experts who were astonished to discover that the sword dated back to the Ming Dynasty between 1644 and 1912. The sword had the characters for King Lang Jian, which means green dragon sword, etched in the steel. It's a good thing that Yi discovered the markings on the blade and experts got their hands on it. Because Yi had been sharpening the blade for 5 years, the experts had a difficult time dating the exact time the blade was made. However, it is still estimated that the blade is worth 100.
Oh my God! And he home using it to cut stuff. $160,000 knife that he don't even know. Fam, I would be sick. I would be sick. Because the way my mind operates is they probably took off from me using it and sharpening it so much. How much was this thing probably worth before that? I would get weak in the legs, bro.
$160,000. Even if sharpening decreased its value a little, that's one amazing rare find. Thor's hammer. No, we're not talking about Mjolnir, the very powerful and mythic hammer which Thor used to protect Asgard from the frost giants. Instead, this small artifact is a Viking amulet in the shape of Thor's hammer, which dates back to the 10th century. Archaeologists have found thousands of these, called Thor's hammer, across the Viking world, but have always argued about whether they represent Thor's hammer or something else entirely. This discovery, which was found on Kobelev, part of the Danish island Lolland, seems to have finally answered whether the amulet was made to resemble Thor's hammer or not. Strangely enough, the person who made this particular artifact was illiterate, so they inscribed runes on the amulet, which had confirmed that these tiny trinkets do, in fact, represent Thor's hammer. It's a rare thing to discover a message from our ancient world, but when we do, the revelations are incredible. Pensioner finds 2,300-year-old pure gold crown under bed. An elderly Englishman who decided to...
Why is it always the elderly? Why somebody young like us can't find something, man? It's always the elderly finding something good, man.
...remain anonymous, really had a stroke of luck when he rediscovered inherited treasure in the form of an authentic Greek gold crown in a cardboard box under his bed. He had inherited the box from his grandfather and saw the crown long ago, but didn't think it had any value, so he didn't pay any attention to it. That was until one day he decided to have it appraised by Dukes of Dorchester in 2017. He was totally shocked when they told him the crown was over 2,000 years old and worth $135,000.
Yeah!
The mysterious thing about the crown is...
Well, we're moving on up. $135,000. It ain't making you rich, man, but that's still a nice little bit of change, nice little bit of moolah to have in the bank.
Is that no one has any idea where it came from or how the grandfather came into possession of it. However, there was some dirt still embedded in the crown, which leads experts to believe it was recently discovered. You've got to admit, that's a pretty cool thing to find under your bed.
Yeah, anytime I can find $135,000 laying around just under my bed, I'm happy. I'm good.
1,000-year-old Viking sword discovered. Some discoveries really do just land in your lap, as Arne Bjorn Vladimarson found out in 2016 when he and a group of friends went hunting for geese and instead found a 1,000-year-old Viking sword laying on the sand, completely exposed. Not only was the sword a remarkable find, but it also once belonged to a remarkable man. It is believed that the blade once belonged to Ingolfur Arnarsson, the first Norseman to settle permanently in Iceland. Vikings were famous for their love of travel and great battles, and few ever stayed in the same place for a long time, driven by a sense of adventure. One great story tells that Arnarsson, upon landing in Iceland, threw wooden posts into the sea and said he would build his house wherever they landed, thereby putting his future in the hands of the gods. Vladimarson did the right thing by passing the sword to the Cultural Heritage Agency of Iceland, which has worked on its identification and preservation. They estimate that the steel sword dates to roughly 950 AD or before. Ancient Texas hammer.
Yeah, they ain't put how much that cost, how much that was worth.
Found embedded in rock. There are few ancient artifacts that suggest a bigger debate than the legendary London hammer. The hammer was found in a tiny little town called London, located in Texas, USA, embedded in rock. But here's the big mystery. The rock that the hammer is stuck in is over 400 million years old. Could it be possible that
There's probably more stuff in there? I'd have been tearing that rock up.
humans were around making tools so long ago? For the hammer to become frozen in the rock, it would have had to be made long before it became encased in sediment, which fossilized. The hammer itself is very old. In fact, it's so old that it had begun to turn to coal. The hammer itself is believed to be more than 500 million years old.
Wow.
And another thing, the hammer is composed of 97% pure iron,
Woo!
which means that the people who made it had advanced metal-making technology for their time. Could an ancient and advanced civilization have made this and then completely vanished? Is the dating correct? Let us know what you think in the comments. Religious artifacts found alongside bones in attic may be relics of a saint. Mr. Williston of St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, made a remarkable discovery while cleaning out his attic one night in 2015. Alongside the usual family heirlooms, unused furniture, and Christmas decorations, he was shocked to discover bones, some jewelry, and many other strange trinkets. Not knowing what to do, Williston's daughter contacted a local church, a jeweler, and an archaeologist to investigate. The interesting thing is that Williston had just bought the home, which had once belonged to his parents when he was a child. A German family had been living there for many, many years prior. The interesting thing is that after the discovery, Williston and his daughter tried to contact the family, but there was no reply. Now it is believed that there is a chance that these strange items and religious relics are believed to be loot from World War II. Now the family wants to see if it's possible to return these items to their rightful owners. However, the items could be worth a small fortune since they are relics from World War II. Roman swords. Big-time discoveries are really a dream for archaeologists, both amateur and professional alike. So the chance to work on an excavation site at the Roman fort of Vindolanda, just south of Hadrian's Wall, was a dream come true for archaeologist Sarah Baker. She, along with other volunteers, helped to unearth a previously unknown barracks at the site in 2017. They were responsible for the discovery of a real treasure trove, which included an intact sword with a bent tip, a second smaller sword, and 2 wooden toy swords.
That's when you be working with people. When you find something, you go to looking around, try to see if anybody else noticed that you just stumbled upon something. Then you try to confiscate it and hide it and keep it to yourself. Disappear and don't show up to work for the next year or 2.
They also found Roman ink writing tablets, bath clogs, leather shoes, hairpins, stylus pens, brooches, and knives. All of these artifacts date to around about 120 AD, back when the fort was occupied by the first cohort of Tungarians who hailed from what is now Belgium. Viking shield. In 2008, Danish archaeologists who were digging 60 miles or so outside of Copenhagen found a stunningly well-preserved Viking shield, which is believed to be around 1,000 years old. Archaeologist Kirsten Christensen was understandably excited upon discovering it. The reason it was so well preserved is that of the moist soil and sediment that covered it, keeping oxygen out, which causes things to decay. The amazing thing about this shield is that it is the first shield of its kind to be found in Denmark. While the shield isn't very big, only measuring 32 inches in diameter, it is still an important find, for Danish archaeologists will use it to study ancient 10th century Viking culture and the equipment they used during raids across Western Europe. It's hard to say whether more shields like this one will be discovered, but only time will tell. Amazing discovery found in the sand could rewrite Australian history. Those who know Australian history no doubt know that Dutchman Willem Janszoon is credited with the discovery of Australia when he landed in North Queensland in 1606, around 160 years before Captain Cook. However, a discovery of some copper coins on Wessel Island by a patrolling soldier in 1944 may just rewrite that history. Maury Eisenberg found 5 coins buried in the sand on the Wessel Islands and popped them into a tin before forgetting about them. But when he came across the tin again in 1979, he decided to send them off to a museum, which led to a big surprise. The coins were dated clear back to 900 AD and are...
I don't know if I'm just sending them. No, I'm gonna personally take them there, personally watch you research it and everything, and then personally take them back. We're not doing that, bro. We're not doing that.
Thought to be of East African or Middle Eastern origin. This would mean that neither Janszoon nor Cook had first discovered Australia, and that an ancient people had been there previously. But who were they, and where did the ancient civilization go? This still remains a mystery. Grandmother's Ming Dynasty style plate sells for nearly $250,000. We all know that grandmothers have a love of pottery, porcelain, and fine china. And what most people don't expect is to be left a porcelain plate by their grandmother, which is worth over $265,000. 3 Derbyshire siblings, who preferred to remain anonymous, inherited a Ming Dynasty style plate from their late grandmother, only to find out that it was actually a Ming Dynasty plate, dating back to the reign of Emperor Yongzheng. This means that the plate is not only around 300 years old, but that it was worth a huge amount of money. What is most remarkable is the way in which the plate came into their family's possession. It is believed that the plate was brought back from America in the early 20th century by Scottish businessman Alexander Robertson.
A plate? They're saying a plate is worth this.
When he passed away in 1922, his belongings were shipped back to Edinburgh and divided amongst his relatives, being passed down in the family until these 3 siblings realized their fortune.
You ever had one of them plates that your parents tell you are for decoration? You don't eat off those, or you don't damage those or nothing? That's one of them plates.
We hope you enjoyed this video.
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoy stuff like that, man. Let's keep it going though. To the water we go.
There is a common thing. Ever since we watched the movie Jaws, we're scared of even running a bath.
But there's a specific type of this condition known as thalassophobia, a Greek word that relates to intense fear of the sea.
I think I have that. I don't have intense fear. Let's just not even say all the way fear. I respect the sea. That's what it is. I wholeheartedly 1000% respect the sea.
So if you have that, you might want to avoid our rundown of unknown sea monsters. But aren't you just a little bit curious? Go on, take the plunge and find out. When you think of a rabbit and then a shark, you know which one is going to be in trouble, right? However, what if we told you a shark could be like a rabbit? Check out the buck-toothed ghost shark, which was identified in 2017 by researchers in California. They studied a fish of a kind found swimming in waters of the southeast Atlantic and southwest Indian Ocean. It looked like a ghost shark due to its big head and tapering tail, yet this one stood out because it had prominent teeth of the kind you'd see on a Bugs Bunny. It was exceptionally bulky and powerful looking, measuring 1 meter, 3 feet in length. Ghost sharks move from place to place using their pectoral fins. They aren't sharks, but have connections to the shark world.
Bro, that looks just evil. Nah, fam, that roll up on you, you gonna die.
And are also like rays. We guess experts refer to them as sharks as it's cooler. The bucktooth variety is the 50th ghost shark discovered and the second biggest on record. The mysterious creature has been put into the genus category Hydrolagus, Greek for water rabbit. Does it eat carrots? Maybe. Studying life forms that call the deep sea home is tricky, as they stay out of the way most of the time. A crab claw was seen in the stomach of one of these amazing animals, giving scientists some clue as to its eating habits and what it likes for dinner. Aside from that, we've only just scratched the surface when it comes to this goofy but fascinating fish. We now go from a creature with big teeth to one with no teeth at all. It gets its sustenance another way, as we're about to find out. This is Kufus polythalamia, and until a couple of years ago or so, it was a mystery. People knew it was there, they just couldn't get a hold of it. The theory went that it was a shipworm, which are usually small things that feed off and digest wood. They had been known to sink ships if they fancied a meal. This was a shipworm with a different
They sink ships?
though, as big shells had been spotted in the 18th century, suggesting the Kufus polythalamia was the mother of all shipworms. Experts from Northeastern University and University of Utah had their fishy prayers answered in 2017 when 5 of the creatures were dug out of the mud. Located in a shallow bay in the Philippines, they represented humanity's first documented encounter. So, what were they like? The worms were between 1 and 1.5 meters, 3 and 5 feet, and measured 2.4 inches, 6 centimeters across. We already knew about their shells, but still, it must have been impressive to see the shipworms wearing them like armor. The shells have even been compared to tusks, as they're so powerful. But the most interesting thing about these mysterious worms is the way they eat. Shipworms enjoy a good tree or two, but it works very differently with Kufus polythalamia, because it lives in the mud. Not just that, but it lives face down. It's developed another method of sustaining itself. What happens is that the mud naturally produces hydrogen sulfide, which doesn't sound tasty, but the worm's body turns it into a food source. It does this by using bacteria inside the gills to transform the gas into an organic material. Sounds disgusting, but
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that.
what do you expect? They live in the muck. This shows just how extraordinary nature can be, with animals making a life for themselves in the nastiest of environments. Now, this video is titled
It's funny how you can be intrigued and disgusted at the same time, but I share both of those emotions.
Monsters, and so far, we haven't showed anything too monstrous. That's about to change, as we introduce you to the deep sea lizardfish, also known by the crazy name Bathysaurus ferox. It was called that by Albert Gunther, a Brit zoologist who saw it in 1878. What does the name mean? Fierce deep sea lizard. Why is it called lizardfish? Simple. It looks like a lizard. As with our previous entry, descriptions of the fish existed before they were actually encountered with modern cameras and such. They live in tropical and subtropical waters, and a team from Eastern Australia finally managed to study it in 2017.
See, and we be going on these tropical vacations, be all in the water. I'm gonna start getting in the water with boots on. Like, that's what, you never know what you're gonna come across.
The frightening lizard's face is accompanied by an eel-type body. 20 inches, 50 centimeters in length, it dwells thousands of feet below the surface, where it hides in the muck. If you're a small critter and unlucky enough to swim past, then it's game over. Most horrifyingly, the fish has hinged teeth which work against you if you try to break free. It's like being in quicksand, working yourself further and further toward the monster's stomach. Needless to say, this animal is not friendly. Reportedly, if you put it in an aquarium, it starts chomping away at its tank mates. Plus, you wouldn't want it served up on your dinner plate, as apparently the flesh is mushy. Delicious. Adding to the deep-sea lizardfish's formidable reputation is the fact that they are hermaphrodites, so can easily reproduce with one another. This little beast has a massive liver that takes up 20% of its overall mass. Why? We don't know. It's all very mysterious. Another weird thing is lizardfish can glow in the dark. While it's not clear why the fierce deep-sea lizard can do that, even the thought is scary enough. At least you'd be able to see it coming. Predators come in all manner of shapes and sizes, but some behave in pretty strange ways. Take our next choice as a prime example. The sea slug called Cratena peregrina or pilgrim hervia is found in the Mediterranean Sea or the Eastern Atlantic. Growing to between 1 to 2 inches, 3 to 5 centimeters, and with a milky tone to their skin, they also have colorful and eye-catching gill clusters on their bodies. The Cratena peregrina is also noticeable for its orange rhinopores, or ears, and 2 tentacles that resemble horns. Now, if that isn't a monster, we don't know what is. Rocky environments suited best, as unsuspecting coral polyps discovered to their cost. Previously, it was thought polyps were this sea slug's snack of choice, but the truth is a little more complicated and weirder. They certainly seem to like consuming polyps, but turns out they're more interested in what the polyp has been eating, namely plankton. Once the prey has finished its lunch, the slug slimes its way in and swallows the polyp. Why does it do that? Because the slug is a kleptopredator, preferring other things to do the eating before enjoying a meal within a meal. Apparently their diet is half polyp, half plankton. We've heard of getting someone to chew your food for you, but that's ridiculous.
That's what I was just thinking. Oh, man.
And we only found out about this repulsive act in detail recently, when experts studied it in 2017. Mystery solved, though it doesn't make for a pleasant viewing. If you're interested in something a bit more aesthetically pleasing, you might be intrigued by our next selection. It's another sea monster, so it won't be pretty, but it almost is. What do we mean? You'll find out as we move on to the frilled shark. Yes, sharks come with frills, though as you might have guessed, these aren't of the soft variety. The frills on this...
Like a senior citizen type shark or something. Like it got old, it got smaller, you know?
Shark,
lose the teeth.
Or Chlamydocylacus anguineus, are really teeth with 3 points on them. A frilled shark has approximately 300 of these vicious chompers in its mouth, which are perfect for grabbing hold of prey. They are said to resemble backward needles. Sounds very painful and nasty. Unfortunate victims include squid and even its own kind. If you're a tasty morsel swimming around in its natural habitat of the Pacific or Atlantic Oceans, then watch out. Researchers at the University of the Algarve took a good look at this snake-shaped creature, which is 1.5 meters or 5 feet long. It landed on their desk after it was accidentally caught by a fisherman and then died. Not good for the fish, but great for marine science. Back in 2003, a large group of frilled sharks were netted in a similar way, though it seems as if the boat interrupted a private moment as the sharks were busy mating. X-rated material aside, the frilled shark is fascinating because of its status as a living fossil, i.e. a form of life that has remained pretty much the same over millions of years. Astonishingly, this monster has been on our planet around 80 million years. Even if you find its appearance shocking, you might want to give it some respect for that at least.
Longevity. We respect longevity.
The monsters on
Told you it was a senior citizen fish.
this rundown are like something from a horror movie, and some have bizarre habits beneath those monstrous exteriors. Some, however, are plain weird on the outside, as our final choice aptly demonstrates. What on earth is a Mola alexandrini, or sunfish? Some think it looks like a pancake.
How did somebody compare that to a pancake? That is not what I thought when I first looked at, oh, pancake, syrup, breakfast. No, that is not what I thought.
Which is pretty accurate, but it isn't right. A fish like this was caught in 1996, but wasn't identified as Mola alexandrini till over 20 years later. That's because scientific knowledge wasn't advanced enough to work it out. It was in fact mistaken for another type of sunfish at first. This whopper found in the southern hemisphere can reach approximately 10 feet, 3 meters in size. The 1996 catch also turned out to be the heaviest ever bony fish, just over 2,268 kilograms, 5,000 pounds. Bones are the key word with the Mola alexandrini. Whereas similar species have cartilage skeletons, this creature is unusual in that it has one made of bone. It isn't the most attractive of things you'll find in the sea. Another name for it in Japanese is ushimanbo, meaning cow. This describes the shape of its head, which is decidedly bumpy. We mentioned some bizarre habits, and the cow-headed monster certainly has those. You're likely to see it lying on its side near the surface of the water. It isn't dead, probably just catching some rays as it swims in cold temperature, and some sunbathing would do just the thing, right? It could also be collecting oxygen that way. And strangest of all, it could be displaying itself so seagulls will swoop down and peck at it, removing various parasites in the process. Maybe the birds think they're tucking into a giant pancake floating in the ocean. Who knows? From fish that look like wagon wheels to ghost sharks, there's a lot to be frightened of under the water.
And a lot we still don't know.
But a little understanding goes a long way to appreciate how amazing these monsters are, despite their worrying reputations. Did we include all the most...
That was enough for me. I respect the ocean. Respect it, bro. You know what I mean? I respect it. And the more I watch these videos, the more I respect it. And the more I'll probably stay out of it. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a like, share the video, subscribe, and stick around and stay tuned, man, to the next reaction. I'm out. Peace, y'all. Stay solid. Hey.